You're watching the Matt L. podcast. Our next guest is Katherine Imp, who has applied to be on Survivor and has completed the Appalachian Trail. So, first of all, do you prefer being called Kate or Katherine?
Feel free to call me Kate.
Okay. How have you been?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. I had through hiked the Appalachian Trail back in 2010, and that was definitely partly due to my love of Survivor and kind of wanting that adventurous experience and kind of seeing what I could take away from it and learn from it. And then since then, I just kind of got back into the groove of my life here in Chicago.
So, did you start in Georgia or in Maine?
We started in Georgia, so most people that through hike the Appalachian Trail go from Georgia to Maine, and then the trail's about 2,200 miles and goes through 14 states. So a lot of people leave in that March-April time, and then they finish up in August.
What happens to or with people who start hiking the Appalachian Trail and don't finish?
So most people don't finish for reasons that I'm sure you can imagine. Every year, approximately, I would say about 2,000 people attempt to through hike the Appalachian Trail, and only 1 in 5 finish. So sometimes that's because they run out of money. Sometimes that's because they get injured. Sometimes they realize it's not as fun as they thought it was going to be. And there's always a number of other reasons that kind of take people away from it. But I went out there with 2 other people, and all 3 of us finished.
So you and your brother Brandon and your friend Emily documented your through hike of the Appalachian Trail in a documentary called Beauty Beneath the Dirt.
Yep. Yeah, we did. So there had already been like a couple of documentaries that had been made about the Appalachian Trail, but I didn't think that anyone had given the perspective that I could give, coming kind of from a younger generation and coming from the woman's perspective, but also because I thought it'd be really cool to document the true, ups and downs of a 5-month experience, and not just, the logistics of hiking. And so that's what Beauty Beneath the Dirt is all about.
How did you get or choose the nickname the Ringleader?
So I think I got that name, though our collective name was the Traveling Circuits, and everybody that through hikes the Appalachian Trail gets a name, and it's kind of a part of being a part of the community, and it's the name is derived from some unique characteristic or personality trait or just a story, and then people give you that name. Well, before we started the trail, we had a blog, and there was a lot of people that were blogging about us and whether or not we'd finish, and people knew that we had this blog and this camera and that we came from the city, and so they were like, what is this? They just let anybody on the trail. They're like the Traveling Circus. I thought that was pretty funny, and I refused to take it as a criticism. So we decided to call ourselves that. And then once we get out there, my brother's the jokester. He's so funny. So people called him Monkey. And
Wait, can I jump in for a second?
Yes.
I was wondering about that. So he did not get the nickname Monkey because your last name is Imp.
No. We try to avoid telling people our last name.
Oh, okay. Hey, our next guest, let me redo the intro then. Our next guest is Katherine, who is, has applied for to be on Survivor and has completed the Appalachian Trail. Okay.
Yeah. So you can feel free to tell anyone our last name. It partly defines who we are because we've grown up with it, and I've come to love it. But no, he got the name Monkey because of just how funny he is, and he would make weird noises during the day like a monkey, and so we called him Monkey. I was the one who had the idea to make the movie and kind of do this hike, and so it was kind of inevitable that my name became Ringleader. And Emily was really a fast hiker, and she had this bright yellow jacket, so she ended up becoming Lightning.
Cool. So, has your brother Brandon applied to be on Survivor before?
Yeah. So both Brandon and I have applied to Survivor a number of times. We've actually thrown in a few Survivor applications together, and just made one video and had fun with that.
Um, do you think your brother Brandon? Do you think Brandon would have been good on Survivor Guatemala or Survivor Nicaragua because of the howler monkeys?
I think that yes, he would have fit right in, first of all. But I also think that I love Survivor. I've seen every episode, and I've applied a number of times, and so has my brother. But I think between the two of us, I could really see my brother winning that game. I mean, I, I think I can't do, but he's just you know,
So he's the crazy one out of you two?
the crazy one.
Yeah.
We're both a little crazy, so we both are very similar, but also really different. So before we hiked the Appalachian Trail together, we would often talk about Survivor. And anytime after the show would air, we'd call each other and we'd talk about it. But I hadn't seen him for over 2 years before we hiked this trail. And then one day I just called him up and I was like, listen, like, this is a great opportunity for us to spend some time together and do something that we actually would probably both love, because it's it's an adventure and it's something we've never tried before. And because of that experience, we're closer than we've ever been.
That's great. Um, so, in terms of if you were cast for Survivor, in terms of your strategy, could you see yourself as the leader of an alliance, the leader of your alliance?
No. I think that would be something that I would really have to try not to do, because you can imagine, and anyone that sees, this film, is that I definitely do a lot of times take on the role of leader, and that's where ringleader comes from. But, I've seen what happens when people lead, and I think I would find a balance between, I don't think it would ever be possible for me to slide under the radar, but I could see myself being someone that is very good at the one-on-one friendships, and just being very aware of my surroundings and what everyone's thinking.
So this next season, 27 is going to be Blood versus Water. So if you and Brandon had been cast for this next season, you might have gotten to compete with or against each other. What do you think about that?
We talked about this. As soon as they brought that up, I was like, this is the family season. And, we had brought it up in our application videos a number of times in the last few years that they should bring us both, because we're both avid fans and would both play a really good game, I think. But now that we've hiked the Appalachian Trail, we both agree that we would never want to be on Survivor together. It's just, you see, especially with this last season, with what happened to Dawn, that Dawn and Brenda, that the relationships end up being real, and a lot of times they can be broken. And I don't know that, to me, it would be worth it to put that relationship on the line, my relationship with my brother, and I fear that we might want to play different games, and it would be something that, would be very hard to forgive if we had any problems out there. And so I would rather see him play and me never get a chance than for both of us to play together.
Well, to play the devil's advocate a little bit, Brenda asked Dawn to take her teeth out, which she did, and then she didn't vote for her to win. What do you think? What did you think about that?
I think that's something that women do when they're really angry.
Dawn did what Brenda asked her to do, and then Brenda didn't vote for her to win. Can you believe that?
I believe it, because I know women, and women can be very passive aggressive, and Brenda had a lot of time to stew on how angry she was.
How angry she was? Yeah.
Dawn, and she knew that they were on TV, and she wanted to do something.
Yeah.
I think it made for good TV, but it wasn't the nicest thing to do.
So, you were a law student, right?
Yep.
And now you work in entertainment law, correct?
I do.
So, do you see a kindred spirit in Cochrane?
Yes, I do, on a number of levels. So, first of all, I did not write an essay about the jury system, but I definitely understand, his background coming from law school. And pretty much everyone, I think for him, everyone at the law school knew that he was obsessed with Survivor, everyone at Harvard, and everyone at the University of Illinois, where I went, knew that I was obsessed with Survivor, and I actually got voted most likely to leave the legal field for a reality show. But I'm pretty sure the only reality show I would do is Survivor, maybe or Amazing Race. But there's just something about that outdoor adventure element that I just absolutely love, and I would drop everything to do it.
Cochrane mentioned one time in an interview that some of his classmates and friends at Harvard weren't people in general at Harvard weren't really into Survivor. They were more bookish. Did you find that at the University of Illinois?
I do think the universities of Illinois is a little bit different. So, I'm a public university girl all the way. I did, public schools growing up, and then I went to the University of Maryland and then the University of Illinois. And so, you tend to find people from all different backgrounds, but law school is law school, and everyone there at some point was a bookworm. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there. That being said, you just never know. I remember I was at a happy hour and just chatting about Survivor, and then someone across the room was like, "I love Survivor," and we've been friends ever since. So a lot of the friends here in Chicago that I watched Survivor with, I met in law schools. So you just never know who's a Survivor fan.
Yeah.
Granted, they would never apply for Survivor, so that's an interesting thing.
But you would.
I'd love to play it, but
Yeah.
a lot of my friends that enjoy the show wouldn't actually want to play.
So you have watched every season of Survivor, right?
Yes, I can't remember all of them, but I've watched every episode.
Do they run together for you?
A lot of them run together. There was that middle part that I couldn't tell you where they were, what happened, who played. I have no idea. But I feel like I really remember some of the earlier seasons really well, and then some of these later seasons, particularly the ones where you bring back returning players, because it's just so interesting to watch that, it ends up staying with you.
So what has been your favorite season?
I would have to say that, I love Parvati, so I definitely love this season that she won. However, I really did like Heroes versus Villains. I thought that was a great season. I believe that was also the season when we were hiking the Appalachian Trail. So we couldn't watch it because it was going on, while we were out there. So what we did is we took a day off of the trail and we went to a library, and my brother and I literally sat there all day and watched the entire season. And then there's so little information that you experience or have when you're hiking, for 5 months, that we would just talk about that season over and over again, because there was nothing else to talk about. So that's probably why it's my favorite, because, we were the least busy we've ever been, and so there was time to really just have fun, talk about the characters that were on that season.
Well, you just said something that I thought just now that I think was key, was that you really like Parvati.
I do. I also think that she is, I don't think that I would be playing the same game as her. I think, I don't think I would even come off that way to people. I'd be a little bit more, I don't know. I try not come off as an attorney, but sometimes, that attorney piece of me, that type A personality comes out a little bit. So I think I'd have a little bit different personality than her. But I just think that she played really well, and all the things that she's doing now with Survivor is really cool. I know that at some point, she had a travel show abroad that she did for CBS, and just a lot of cool stuff that I would love to do myself. So I'm a little jealous, but I also love that she has those opportunities.
Yeah, so Parvati, I've heard that she has some friends in the Survivor casting, so you could try to find out who who she's friends with, who does casting for Survivor, and you could send them your application video?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. And, you know, my brother and I have tried a number of different things. Like, I think for a while I wouldn't tell people that I love Survivor because it was, you know,